Today we are looking at solving multi-step equations. We're going to use the inverse operations method. What this will involve is isolating the variable by progressively moving things from one side to the equal sign to the other. As we move it to the opposite side of the equal sign, we must perform the opposite or the inverse operation. The inverse of multiplication is division and vice versa. In the inverse of addition is subtraction and again vice versa. Our first step is writing the equation. We have it here written in red. We have 3x plus 2 equals 14. Now, when we're writing expressions and equations algebraically, we know that we don't need to show the multiplication sign, and we do that by having a coefficient in front of our pronumeral. So in this instance we have 3x, which means 3 times x. So our equation is 3 times x plus 2 equals 14. Our second step is identifying the operation and value least linked to our variable. So in this case it's the plus 2, because if we were solving it and we knew what x was, we'd do 3 times x, then we'd add the 2. So our plus 2 is least linked to the x. Our equal sign will be kept in the same position and everything else drops down. So our equals 14 drops down, our 3x drops down, and we move our identified value and operation to the opposite side of the equal sign. Now as we do that, we need to remember that we need to change it to the inverse operation. So it comes from a plus 2 to a subtract 2. So we now have 3x equals 14 take 2. Our next step is solving the change section and everything else dropping down. So 14 take 2 gives us 12, and our 3x and our equal sign drop down. Then we have our new equation, 3x equals 12. Our next step is repeating steps 2 and 3 for all operations until the variable is isolated by itself. So our last operation is our 3 times by our x. So we need to move that to the opposite side of the equal sign and change our operation. Therefore our x equals drops down and our 12 drops down, and our multiply by 3 on this side becomes a divide by 3 on the other side. So now we just need to solve. We have x equals 4. And our last step is to substitute this into our original equation to check. So let's try that. So we have x equals 4. So 3 times 4 gives me 12, plus 2 gives me 14. I can see that that's correct, so therefore I have solved it correctly.